Hello, my name is Nathan Gillis. I'm the Director of Olympic Sports Scholarships, and we're coming at you with more scholarship-specific content. And today, what I will run through is where to get started with the scholarship process. What do you need to do to understand what your options could be? And it all comes down to getting assessed. It's very important that the very first thing you do is you assess and evaluate yourself. It's the first thing that any athlete that's looking at the US has to conduct. You can't jump in the deep end. I guarantee you will almost always sink. So, number one, evaluating yourself. How do you do this? Why is it important, etc. So, firstly, for any athlete that's looking to go to the US, how on earth are you supposed to know what level to target if you don't know what level you can get into? It is absolutely vital that you understand what is realistic, if you are good enough, and if you are good enough, at to what level that is. And you need to look at the two main elements within the evaluation that will predict what is possible: your academic and athletic ability. You have to look at these two factors. It is 90+% of what will predict what a student will get in terms of scholarship and at what level. So, how do we do this? Again, now, disclaimer, what I'm about to run through is generic. There are country-specific guidelines in terms of grades, and it varies a lot from sport to sport, but I'm going to give a rough overview of how to have a generally decent idea of what level you can get. So, in the US, academics is important because we receive academic scholarships. And also, if you are not good enough academically, you will not get into certain schools. Typically, the better the university, the higher the admission standards. So they use a GPA scale, which goes from 4.0 to 0.0 in the US. GPA stands for grade point average. So 4.0, letter grade A. A 3.0 is a letter grade B. 2.0 is a letter grade C. And typically, again, this is generic, but typically anything below a C is given a 0. Again, can vary from country to country, but generally C equals 0. Now, what you then need to do is look at your last 4 years of high school, wherever you are in the world, add up your Englishes, your maths, your sciences, your social sciences, etc. What is your average grade? And that will predict roughly what GPA you have. So that's the first thing that you need to understand. What is generally your GPA? Then we can look over the athletics. Okay, so how to generally understand your level. And again, as I said before, the disclaimer, this is going to differ from sport to sport, but you are considered as a very high value recruit if you are competing at the international level. If you are competing nationally and doing well, you are considered a high value recruit. If you are competing at the county, state, regional level, you are considered average. You are an average US scholarship recruit. And if you are only competing at the school level, I hate to break it to you, but you're a low value recruit. In the context of the US scholarship system, people that are only competing at the school level are looked at as lower value. Now, with these two pieces of information, your academic level, your sports level, this will then allow you to have a rough overview of what percentage of scholarship you can get. And then I'll run over in a second in terms of what divisions and level afterwards. So high GPA, high level of competition. So maybe you're above a 3.0 and you have maybe good history of competing nationally or internationally. You will be looking at 80 to 100% of scholarship, typically at the D1 level. So again, high GPA, good level, athletically, competing nationally, internationally, we should be looking at this point as a higher band of scholarship at a higher level. If you have an average GPA, and I would say average GPA would be sort of mid twos to high twos in terms of GPA, and you're maybe a medium level of competition, so maybe you're competing at the county, regional, state level, maybe not quite broken through to competing that well at the national level, or maybe you've only had one national competition that you qualified for, we'll be looking at 60 to 80%, maybe lower level D1 and D2. Low GPA, maybe if you're below a 2 or a 2.2 GPA, and maybe you're only competing at the school level, it's very likely at this point we're going to be looking at max 40%. And it's also very likely that you'll be looking at more the junior college system, also referred to as the NJCAA. So the reason why you have to understand this before you start emailing coaches and trying to get in contact with programs you have to understand who has any chance of responding to you. If you're just flooding the whole system with emails, it's going to make you look bad. You're going to get a lower level of response. Less people will be interested in you. And also, you need to target an element within the US. You need to target a band which is more likely in terms of them responding to you, in terms of getting offers. You might also, right, with this information, you might just decide that actually your expectations, you're below where you thought you were at. You need to go and do better. Maybe you go away and you try and perform better in school. You might try and perform at a better level athletically. And this will allow your desired scholarship percentage to potentially go up in the future. So this is where it is absolutely vital for any kid. What you cannot afford to do is go out there, try and begin this process with absolutely no evaluation conducted. Now, what we can do at Olympic Sports Scholarships, if you go via our websites, we can conduct a full evaluation of both your academic and athletic ability. And this will allow us to tell you for free what level we believe is possible and on what percentage of scholarship. And again, as I said before, it's absolutely vital when you do this that you have sport-specific understanding. This will differ for track and field athletes to soccer players, so on and so forth. Every sport has slightly different considerations, the events that you do. Again, what I've given you is a rough overview. And also it's vital that you understand your academic situation, because this will very clearly predict very accurately what schools you can even get into in the first place in terms of successfully getting through the admissions process. So we can do that via our website. I can include the links below this video. But as I said, before you jump into the deep end, evaluate yourself. This will give you a much better foundation moving forwards and will allow you to get better outcomes as well. So there we go. Hope that helped. And again, follow the whatever they say on YouTube videos, subscribe, feel free to comment, whatever. Not been doing it for this long, but yeah, engage with our content. We really appreciate it. It's particularly helping us in terms of growing this account, etc. So hope this helps, and keep an eye out for more content as well.